And welcome back, everybody. We've got game number 2 of iG Vitality taking on Rad&Dire. LGD looking good with a game 1 victory over their newcomer opponents, and we'll see what they have put together for us here in game number 2. Once again, joining me is Cameron, or Basskip, as you guys know him, and game number 2 starts things off with a first pick Invoker. Here we go.
Alright, I'm looking forward to seeing some Invoker played. I'm a little bit sad that people are already complaining about Invoker as much as they are, because it feels like he's been so bad for so long, and now he's finally kind of good. You know, he's definitely on the he's stronger than average, and everybody is immediately bandwagoning to get him nerfed. So
and as much as he seems to be like first pick / always banned material, he hasn't really proven it yet because of how often he gets banned. So to me, it's still too soon to tell with the hero if he is going to be too strong. I mean, it does seem like he's going to be really good, but I don't know. Give it some time. Give it some time.
Yeah, I mean, EMP is definitely annoying, and the cold snap interaction with Urn, I think, is also bugging people quite a bit. But if there's any tweaks, I hope they're only minor. Because the other thing that I really like seeing is all the variability in builds and playstyles. It seems like every Invoker player that you look at does things just slightly differently, which is always really cool to see. I've seen, like, I think the other day in the SEA qualifier that I was casting, somebody went Dragonlance BKB, like first 2 big items on the Invoker, but they totally made it work. So
as an Exo or plus Wex Invoker?
As a, I think it was as QW actually.
Okay.
So yeah, it was.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What else do we got? So the Oracle's actually going to be banned this time around, so iG Vitality seemingly not wanting to deal with that.
Earth Spirit seems to be top banned in China. Not so much in the Western scene. We're seeing Earth Spirit maybe second stage pick or even ignored a lot of the time. I think it's because the hero plagues the Chinese matchmaking servers. This is like every single game at like 6 to 7k MMR China servers is an Earth Spirit. It's just... especially the old Earth Spirit, where you could just pull to save teams. Everyone on China servers is super tryhard. It's like the most tryhard of matchmaking servers from what I've heard and seen. So Earth Spirit is, I think, more of a commonly known and understood hero for the Chinese teams.
Yeah, it feels like there's very few Earth Spirit players among the, if you want to call them, the Western pro teams, right?
Yeah.
So it'll take a while, I think.
So we'll see Slaughter picked up with Tusk by iG. The Tusk, I feel like that's maybe what iG were going for, leaving Tusk in the pool, thinking like, okay, LGD might take the Tusk so they could do the Radiant Ancient pulls, but that means we get Invoker. But LGD say, we're just going to play a more standard game, and they take the Invoker themselves, not going for any kind of shenanigans.
Yeah, the Tusk and the Slaughter are both definitely nice to have against the Invoker. If it ends up being QW, you can potentially dodge EMP with Snowball, and just in general, heroes that get up in Invoker's face are the things that he, the thing that he struggles with the most. So PA is pretty good against him in general. As soon as someone gets on top of Invoker, he sometimes finds it a little bit difficult to peel. I guess definitely Blast and whatnot does help, but seems like a decent way to approach it here.
Yep. And Dazzle. Ooh, forgot about this guy. I've not seen him get picked up all too much. The Dazzle into AA ban, so covering their bases.
Yeah, gives them a bit of 5-man potential. He's better at zoning now than he used to be as well. Despite getting nerfed, the Poison Touch got buffed, so...
And you mentioned they want to jump again Invoker's face. He's likely going to be priority number 1, so if you get the Grave off Invoker and survive the chain stun, once you get your spells off, there's a very high chance you survive. Like, you Tornado them, you definitely blast them back, and then you've got ridiculous movement speed because of the Wex build, so a lot of the time, a Grave is actually going to save your life, not just give you 5 seconds to cast spells before you die.
Yeah, and the armor is always going to be nice to have as well against the Slaughter potentially. So seems solid. And LGD showed that they're very capable at getting a 5-man going in the previous game. And Dazzle is just one of those heroes that totally enables 5-man strategies. In and of himself, he's more than enough sustain to keep a 5-man push going after you win a team fight, and that can be extremely important.
Alright, well, let's see what iG can do. They got their Starbucks ready for game number 2. I see one of their players there sitting there, Frappuccino ready to go. Can be anywhere in the world, but you can always get a Starbucks Frappuccino. Nothing changes. And hopefully things look better for them here in game number 2. But for LGD, I feel like they don't want, like, if anything, they want to try and figure out the new patch and stay away from stuff like cheesy strats like the Tusk Ice Shards. If anything, those are the kind of things they got to look at and say, okay, that's probably getting changed. Let's try and see how strong the things are which aren't going to be changed. Like, is Dazzle still a viable pick? How good is this Invoker? So for now, they're going a lot more standard with their draft.
On that front, I'm a little bit surprised not to see more of the new heroes or more of the changed heroes that have been re-implemented back into Captain's Mode. I feel like I haven't seen any Death Prophet.
You know, there was a really good post on Reddit about Death Prophet. The hero just seemed, according to everything he was saying, and he backed up with a lot of factual numbers, the hero is just worse.
That was decency, right?
Yeah, decency. Yeah, like at level 6 and level 11, he's just flat out, not dramatically worse, but slightly weaker. So he's got a new spell, but the mana cost and everything about it, and the damage output and movement speed of the hero just doesn't match up to what he used to be. And the hero was already quite bad, so I don't know if you read through it and agree with it, but like I read through this and I was like, I actually agree with this. A lot of time I see analysis of stuff from Reddit, I'm like, this is just a load of crap. These people don't know what they're talking about, but I don't know.
No, I read it, and I think also I've played around with the Death Prophet a little bit in the new patch, just in pubs, and you still feel one-dimensional in the same way that you did before, and I guess you're a little bit weaker actually in doing that. You gained a little bit of versatility. The Cypher Soul is cute, but yeah, it doesn't seem amazing. Any heroes that you've been missing from the patch, Parker? I'm going to put Enchantress up as one that I would like to see played.
Oh yeah,
a little bit more. I think that hero's got some possibilities.
She got very small buff, like directly with the enchant cooldown.
But the new camps and items, and I think the camps especially.
The camps is definitely one of the big things. I'm not sold on like the core Dragonlance lets impetus people down. Every now and then, the game just happens to go so well that you can transition into that kind of an Enchantress. But if you're picking as a jungler, generally your approach is to like have early game dominance and apply a lot of pressure early on. So that definitely has helped with the new camps, though. So I think the camps, though, at the same time, like you look at the Radiant jungle, all the camps are a lot further apart. So if you're looking for a good creep, you have to walk a lot further. It's a bit more of a pain sometimes to maneuver around the jungle. I'm not sold. I really like the offlane Enchantress. I've done a bit of that in my pubs, but that's, I don't think, competitively viable so much.
Fair enough. What else do we got here? So iG Vitality, you get the somewhat obvious combo with the Slaughter, Wind Ranger. Got themselves a Lina as well, so I guess, Lina Tusk as the supports, and then we're still just looking for their one position. LGD, meanwhile, grab the Night Stalker, which is looking alright. iG Vitality have some somewhat squishy heroes over on their side, so... Yeah.
What were the other heroes that were added? So there was Winter Wyvern, Faceless Void, Death Prophet, and there were 2 other ones that were added back into CM.
Is it Doom and Lone Druid?
Yes. Doom was... And Lone Druid was added back in?
Yeah, I think the only heroes that are missing at the moment are Ricky and... I don't know, is Winter Wyvern back in?
Yes, Winter Wyvern's back in. I think it's Arc Warden.
Right.
It's probably Arc Warden?
Oh, yeah, it's probably
Arc Warden's definitely not in, so...
Yeah, I guess it's Arc Warden and Ricky are the 2 that...
Okay.
That we don't have at the moment.
Yeah, haven't seen any Lone Druid. I've seen a lot of people like posting a bit about Lone Druid and playing the hero a lot and saying the hero is quite strong and a lot better now with the changes. So
the bear is so annoying to kill now when it's split pushing. It's just Radiance burning a wave or something like that, and you're like, okay, kill the bear, get the 300 gold, and then you just get feared and gets the Q cooldown off. So that definitely seems stronger. But it's gotta be the right kind of game to pick up the Lone Druids. So
yeah,
I guess we're gonna be seeing a little bit less of it.
It's like a strategy in itself. It's not like a hero you can just pick early on in a draft and fit it in wherever. Like you have to kind of draft around it a lot more. So last pick's coming up. iG, you mentioned Safe Lane Farmer. We'll see what they have in mind here. Lina and Tuss, you mentioned the support, so almost guaranteed to be that safe lane farming role. Unless they do something a bit funky like a safe lane farming Lina or a Wind Ranger in the safe lane, but those are obviously a bit more obscure than what you'd be used to seeing. And for the most part, we're seeing these new, younger teams kind of go for more standard, safe, like cookie cutter type play.
Yeah, if they want to be really boring, they could pick something like Viper, and the Viper could either go mid or he could be on the safe lane and just try and make sure that they win their lanes and get something going in the early game. But
the fact they banned Gyrocopter is interesting to me because that suggests to me slightly they may not be looking for a safe lane farmer. Because if anything, I'm like, if you want a safe lane carry, you pick Gyro. He's like the best carry left in the pool, and they had pick before LGD had. So I find it really curious that they banned it out.
Yeah, that is a little bit interesting. I mean, some people would argue that the clock can be a little bit of a nuisance for Gyro, but I feel like somewhat you can just play around it. It's not really a hard counter by any means.
And it's a very small window where it only sometimes comes into play. It's not even like it always happens where he gets Blade Mail and you're screwed for a while, but they get the jug. Maybe they were thinking Ember, and Gyro Rocket Barrage is pretty good against Ember, so if they had Ember in mind, maybe the Gyro ban makes sense there. But last pick on the jug.
Yeah, I guess another factor here is that LGD might know a little bit more about IG Vitality than we do as well. So I mean, they've consistently gone for this Ember ban, so it does give the impression that IG Vitality are a team that likes their Ember Spirit, but not enough to pick it earlier than last pick, apparently.
Sylar heroes now. Ooh, what are we left with? Terrorblade, here we go. Fun hero. This is one of my favorite heroes.
Alright.
I really like the new Terrorblade Reflection. It's a good spell.
It's strong. It is actually, it seems really strong.
You have lane control now. You just sit back and spam it. Like it does when you start getting level 2, level 3, you just spam it every 20 seconds and do some good harass. It's fantastic. And you just zone people out with it. The best part about it is all those terrible, miserable offlaners who get Orb of Venom and right-click you dish that Orb of Venom right back with the Reflection. So
yeah.
My last game playing Terrorblade, I had an Omni Knight with Degen level 1 and Orb of Venom like coming up to harass me. I'm like, okay, I'll just cast Reflection. Have fun with that. And he did not. So Terrorblade picked up. This will be something fun. I'm hoping he goes for the Reflection build. I've seen some Terrorblades still go for the images with the Metamorphosis, but I just don't think that's the build anymore.
No, Miracle definitely agrees with you as well. He was playing it a little bit in the games that they could get it through out of the first round of bans in the MDL, and yeah, he was going for the max meta and max reflection build, just statting up.
Was he playing it mid or in the safe lane?
He played it one game mid against Alk, where it did pretty well because you have so much armor that the acid spray doesn't hurt you nearly as much as it does some other heroes. And I think he might have had one game with it on the safe lane, but yeah, it was like, I think it was 2-1 split or something like that.
I think that's the key thing to point out here. This hero is picked up, doesn't do well against nuke damage, but against physical damage, he has a ton of armor. 7 armor starting, and once you get like a killer plus drums, you're suddenly seeing on like 13 to 15 armor. And IG's draft, largely physical. Slardar, Windranger, Juggernaut, very good game to be a Terrorblade. The one main hero to worry about is probably going to be the Lina, who is a support.
Yeah, we got some redundant wording going on here, Parker.
I saw that when I even said it. You know, IG. Ooh, the chat saw it though, so you know.
Well, it's better than having one word in your fountain. I'll say that much.
That was a fun change when the word pulling.
Yeah.
Every now and then you'd see that, or the salve changes where you could, where we'd see people like salving themselves randomly. Yeah, that was always good fun. So here we go.
When they changed the mango from double tap back to single, I also there were a couple of random mango eats.
Yeah, I've had a few of those. Well, bottom lane, the harass already starting here. Poison touch level 1, not going to be a fun lane for Slardar. Anytime you can, you just throw a poison touch and reflection. The great thing, like, it's 50 mana, so you can just kind of spam it indefinitely. As I say that, Sylar misses like 2 CS in a row, but I don't know. Things happen. Top lane, here we go. There's going to be a Lina stun into a Blade Fury. ROTK needs to get the cogs push off. It's a good one, but not good enough. Lina still gets the first blood, and nice Lina stun off of a snowball. Gets IG off to a good start.
Yeah, definitely need this lane to go alright.
Oh, they're going to rotate it. It's just clock. I thought it was Dazzle for a second.
Oh, I wonder if the Tuscan and Lina are just gonna stay here, if they're gonna try and go and put any pressure on the Invoker mid. That is the one nice thing that LGD are kind of doing with having this dual offlane, is that they're they're keeping both of the supports up here and zoning them out. So even if they don't do that well, they're kind of securing the Invoker in that way, because if the Tusk was free to move around, then he could give the Invoker a little bit more of a hard time.
They'll fight a bit over the top room, but it does go Night Stalker's way with a haste. We'll probably just get off some harass here, more than anything.
That's 2 games in a row with the 2-minute haste rune.
Wow, he may actually get a kill off of this. There's no snowball for the time being, but Boca used it to try and get the haste rune, and as a result, it's going to be a kill. Win run available for Y-Chen. Maybe turning around, hasn't invoked. Oh, there's the tornado. Power shot will not help him out. Oh man, what a haste rune. Should have just left the Tusk for dead.
I'm telling you, Parker, it's the 2-minute haste rune. It's notorious, or if it isn't, it needs to be. Because oh man.
I feel like for S4, it's more like the 4-minute haste runes, because that's when he's like a mid laner. He gets a 4-minute haste rune. It's nighttime and he goes ganking. Yeah. But with supports, 2-minute haste runes. That's the dream, especially a hero like a Night Stalker or a Tusk or something. When you're level Night Stalker wants ideally like level 3, Tusk level 2. You get a haste rune and you're golden.
Yeah, there's just, I guess the other thing is that there's nothing that, almost no other rune kills you as hard as if there's 2 people contesting the rune and trading hits and you both get to like 60% or 75% and then one person gets the haste. It's just like, oh, my life is over.
You're committed at that point. So here we go. Tusk has done ancient pulls. Good stuff. Good stuff, though.
Yeah, so the way that he did that is he pulled it out. He actually got the stack as well. And then he just sharded here. No. So he pulled this way.
Oh, okay, and he shards this little.
So he sharded this little bit, and then the ancients were like, "Oh, I can't get back. I'm gonna path all the way around."
All right, well.
And then they pulled the creep wave with them as well.
I hope Valve weren't planning on celebrating Christmas. Please, please, someone,
please fix Tusk. We thought we nerfed him.
No,
we thought it was over.
This hero is as viable as ever, if not. I don't know, I want to say stronger, but I feel like in some ways he might be, just because of this. Well,
the one thing that I tell myself is that, you know, for the longest time, Tusk was just a joke hero, right? You know, kind of from his implementation up until a couple of months ago, he was. So I don't mind that he gets some time in the limelight, but ancient pulls are dumb. So
yeah, this especially like this ease of execution, and he's going to do another one. So. Alright, have fun getting experience on Invoker in mid lane. Fun stuff, fun stuff.
There's not even really any timing to it either, because the creeps walk all the way up the mid lane. There's so much leeway.
I guess it's nighttime, like he has to maintain vision so the creeps keep aggro, but yeah, again, not really.
Oh no, he has to move click on his own creep.
Yes.
Disaster.
This is huge XP and levels coming his way. Oh man, this at this point you just have to like block ancients when you're versing a Tusk almost.
Yeah, and the issue is that this, I mean, it's going to get changed, but the other thing is that it enables all kinds of mid lanes that otherwise just don't work.
Here we go. Gank on the bottom lane, and Slada, 1 or 2 more right clicks will be enough to bring him down. The snowball comes. Tusk commits himself. I think just trying to save a Slada there, but should have just let him go. Once again, IG not really cutting. They're not very good at cutting their losses. Something you know the really experienced teams are good at is knowing when a hero's dead and just letting him die. For IG, it's been 1 death turns into 2. And that's the 2nd time so far.
Yeah, and mind you, they're going to get really good damage on this tower. I mean, there's a glyph available, but
yep.
Looks like it might even be 6-minute tower here for LGD.
That's good old-fashioned Terrorblade. Has gone for 1 point in the illusion, so we'll see Max Metamorph with 1 point in reflection for now. See where he builds from here, but as far as this early game goes, they've managed to slow down the Invoker a bit, but he's still on par with the Wind Ranger as far as XP and farm goes. And that's with these pesky Ancients pulls.
I guess this is just a somewhat more reliable way of the Tusk giving him a hard time. I mean, the other option would have been for the Tusk just to try and gank him, but
yep. Speaking of which, Night Stalker lurking around. He's like, I see what you're trying to do here. Let's shut this down. My Invoker needs fun. He needs some levels. Not having any of that. Clockwork, by the way, almost level 6, so he's going to likely start getting active fairly soon himself, and Wind Ranger is very prone to those Clockwork ganks.
Yeah, it's gonna be really tough. The Slaughter's got level 4 now. I'd like to see the Slaughter maybe consider some kind of a gank, team up with the Tusk.
Yeah, they'd make a possibly even just a smoke towards that Invoker. It does feel like they're just not getting anything done early on, and they're just falling behind in farm.
Yeah, the other option is for your Jug to, leave the safe lane and come and join the off lane. Those 3 heroes could definitely kill off the Terrorblade or whoever's down here pretty easily. So definitely lots of different opportunities. But I say Tusk is content to just keep farming these Ancients for the time being.
To see if, like you say, Jug makes a move. He's a bit low on HP here. No HP regen in the lane, and no healing ward as well available. So that makes it a bit harder for him to rotate off and get something done.
Yeah, you look at the Slaughter and you can see he's keen. He's picked up a smoke. I wonder if he's going to go all the way top and then give the Jug his salve and then get the Jug to smoke and go somewhere else.
It could be the plan. I feel like he can't do it on his own.
Or you tell the Jug to TP. Or you tell the Jug to TP and then you salve him after he TP.
If the Tusk rotates towards mid, I feel like this is just going to make everything a bit too obvious. That Tusk is moving back towards that tower. It's like, oh, where's the Tusk going? Oh, he's not Ancient pulling. Is he Ancient pulling? No, he smokes. Out of the ward range, but Tusk backing off and not going for the Ancient stacks, what else is he doing? He's going to gank. Maybe you're not entirely sure that he smoked, but the fact he didn't go for the Ancient pull again, to me, is a bit of a telltale sign for LGD of what's going on. It's just a matter of, can they predict where it is? ROTK seems to have just vacated the lane regardless, because he hits level 6 and wants to get mana for a hookshot gank.
This gank is so important for IG. The Slaughter's been off the lane for a minute and a half now, trying to orchestrate this with this team, but Smoke's already faded. So.
And yeah, it's daytime. There's a Radiant high ground ward in mid. I feel like that was kind of like you mentioned. The Slaughter probably should have just smoked up with the Juggernaut, and the Tusk just stays in the lane, showing himself, making it less obvious to LGD. What's done is done, and suddenly things not looking all too hot for this IG squad. So we're seeing just the 1 point in Terrorblade Reflection, by the way. Is that so? Miracle, did he go 1 point, or did he actually max it out?
No, I'm pretty sure he maxed it before he got a single point in the Conjure image. But he also the way that they built their lineups in those games was Terrorblade was the primary damage dealer, and then everybody else was just teamfight control or ways to keep the Terrorblade alive. So I think they had the Dazzle quite a bit, because obviously getting a Grave off is great for being able to sunder and stuff like that, but it looks like Sylar is playing a more Sylar style Terrorblade.
Farming, picks up Dominate. I like the Dominate pickup. That's a really useful item for the hero when you are farming and rotating in the jungle. Gives you much needed sustain that you don't really get from many of your common items. Maybe's now, he's smoked up, finds the Tusk. It's just 2 heroes here, and there's quite a few IG heroes on the move, including Lina with a Laguna Blade, but where's the mana for it? Has it in a couple of seconds here, throws a stun instead, and they'll lose Tusk. Keep Lina alive with the hookshot slightly off the mark from RTK.
That was almost extremely unfortunate timing with the Rocket Flare and the Tornado. Tornado dodged the flare, but one more auto attack from the Dazzle saves the day.
This Jug, he's rotating and moving around, but he never seems to have HP. He's half HP now. Earlier he was even worse off. And that just seems to be a bit of a problem here for IG as far as finding kills to turn this game around. Well, that's a 2-hero Tornado, but just a bit of casual harass. As they're just trying to zone them away from this tower, which Sylar's rotated for. Out of the jungle, he comes with Metamorphosis and max Conjure Images. These illusions will hit hard as a result. And the tower goes down the way of the Invoker. ROTK graved up, may go for a TP here. No, he's going to just turn and hightail it out of there. He needs to be wary of his shards, which is still on cooldown.
They were really lucky when that Tornado landed that the hookshot was on cooldown, since RTK threw it out earlier looking for kills when they got the Tusk. But it's 2 tier 1s down already for LGD. Bunch of gold in their hands, a 5k net worth lead, 3k experience lead.
Ancient stacks,
IG,
farms, late game secured with the Terrorblade. This is...
What did the Jug Omni?
I did not see, actually.
Did he Omni the Night Stalker going for the rune? Something like that? No, I mean, it was what, 50 seconds ago? I don't know what that was.
It could have been the
no
Night Stalker.
Yeah, it seems like the most likely hero.
Night Stalker got low HP, and he's very tanky and can survive an Omni Slash with the earn HP as well as the high base armor.
Yeah, I'm gonna open the combat log and see if it crashes my game.
Yeah, that's always a big risk.
Fingers crossed.
So DDC will snag himself a bounty rune up top, and it looks like LGD going to rotate a few heroes towards top now. Recognizing Slaughter's kind of taken over this lane to get himself some farm and levels. But Jug is nearby. Likely.
The Jug dominator, that's something that we don't see a crazy amount of. It tends to either be like the Drum, Yasha, fight, run around build, or the Battle Fury.
Crush on the DDC, the Cogs is there, but that's gonna get him in a bit of a tough spot. He won't be able, okay, he will be able to swoop himself through the Cogs. Power shot needs to land. DDC kept alive for now, but the snowball with the amplified damage vision gets the kill onto Night Stalker. The chase is on. Shackle does not land. Maybe then hits a 2-hero tornado. The EMP will not land to follow it up. An RTK hook shot onto QD during his Blade Fury. Has an Omni Slash back up. They don't want to chase this one too heavily. As MMY again not hitting the Shackle, and QD trying to break through the Ice Shards. Will have to wait his time. And oh, by the way, Terrorblade doing Terrorblade things. Elsewhere on the map, split pushing and possibly taking a tier 2 tower. Double TP coming in though. He's going to be a bit careful here. Sylar, as he overstayed his welcome. Omni Slash with a Slaughter could come into play here. Throws out the reflection, gets caught out by the amp. Omni Slash goes to the illusion though. Tusk snowballs in, does have the Ice Shards and manages to barely secure the kill. They break. Sylar did, I believe, spend his money and pick up his Yasha before he went down though.
Yeah, unfortunately, just didn't quite have enough mana to be able to get the Sunder off. I'm not even sure if it would have mattered. The Tusk kind of.
Yep.
Well, Tusk would have been able to chain stun him if needed. The Walrus Punch was off cooldown.
I guess they just didn't have the vision of the heroes actually TP. Like, for one, they TP'd on the trees, and two, no one was scouting at top, so maybe a bit of miscommunication from LGD. Like, hey, just get back. We can't see them anymore.
Still pretty big tower damage dealt. He's probably going to be able to finish that up at some point.
And he's got this. Okay, misses that ancient stack, but he's got a decent sized ancient stack to farm up a bit later on.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
This game is definitely going better for iG.V than the previous one did, though. So finding their rhythm a little bit.
This Ice Shards Ancient's play. First he does the Ancient pull to the creep wave, then he throws another Ice Shards just to help kill one of the big creeps before it gets back. This is some serious shenanigans.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
And LGD say, you guys can farm Ancients all you want. We'll just farm top lane, we'll farm mid lane, we'll farm your jungle, and we're just going to take control of the map, even if we don't have control of that area around the Roshan and Ancients spot. IG get on the move though. They're going to smoke up and see what they can find.
Jug's going to get... Oh, misses the last hit, but gets the tier 1 tower for free. Bottom.
Yep. LGD though in position to continue pressure at the top lane. They're getting into Roshan, but if LGD somehow figure this one out, they've got illusions, they've got rocket flare. They can either go and contest it or just continue the pressure at top. And for now, Terrorblade is going to continue to siege this top tier 2. Rocket flare, there we go. Scouts out Roshan, and now Sylar can come and fight, or he can push out the top lane. It looks like he's going to come try and contest Roshan. They've got to get here fast. Everyone's low.
There's another flare in like 2 seconds. They're going to get in range for tornadoes soon.
Oh no, the Weaver's there as well. He's going to catch the Lina inside. Roshan's still incredibly low. The tornado swoops them through. They've already lost the Tusk. Oh, okay, that's a rocket flare. 2 heroes taken out by it. Clockwork wins his team a Roche fight. And Slaughter, no TP out for you. Well, that may have just sealed IG's fate here.
Yeah, they tried to leave the Jug out of it for kind of plausible deniability, but...
no one was defending top, I think, was the big telltale.
Yeah.
Like, no one's defending top when there's 4 LGD heroes up there, and no one was pushing bottom. Like, if IG were grouped up pushing bottom, it would maybe be a bit more believable. Or at least showing a hero or two near that lane.
Yeah, what you're really hoping for is that they're just telling themselves, like, oh, if I can see the Jug, well, they're definitely going to bring Jug to Roshan, right?
Yes.
So, but did not quite work out that way, unfortunately.
Oh, man, and Windranger, like, in poverty, going for just a first item 4-star this game, which she still hasn't even finished. Yeah. Jug the only one with any semblance of farm, but he's not really in fighting shape with his item build. I know, here we go. Here's the Terrorblade finding his farm, so...
Yeah, and the Slaughter was actually doing alright. He had like 1,500 gold, I think, before they went into the pit there, but he's been slowed down quite a bit. They really need this Blink Dagger to make any kind of plays, so... Yeah.
A very squishy Terrorblade. He's got 24 armor, but he's sitting on 800 HP.
Yeah.
That's where I'm not sold on this build. I think the Dominate is okay for the farm, but I feel like you need like a Drums or at least like... I guess he's going to go into a Manta or SMY here, which will give him the HP to fight. But
yeah, no Drum, no SNY. I guess he could... The really greedy thing to do from here is to just go like straight into the Scotty after you finish the... after you finish up the Manta style, which he's just about to grab.
I think the Manta is an okay substitute for SMY. It pretty much gives you similar kind of stats and HP. And it just kind of functions a bit better with the hero with his illusions and farming. But he's been forced just to farm and play a lot more passively because of his item and skill build.
Yeah, but that is the kind of... I guess the one thing to talk about this game is that you have to kind of look at the other cores as well, and just the other heroes on their lineup in general. There's nobody else to really sponge up any farm, so I think going the greedier build makes sense from that perspective, in that you're the only person who can really exploit the map as much, because the Clockwork's always going to be rotating. The very popular way to play Invoker at the moment is just to rotate and apply pressure. Sure, you get some farm interspersed, but you never really just sit and, you know, hit jungle creeps.
That's right. And even the two supports, like, they haven't got like a Lina or something that can transition into like a flash farming pseudo core as well. Like Dazzle and Nightstalker both farm fairly slow.
Yeah, so I think that's where I really like the build. He's just got a good synergy with his team from that perspective.
There you go. It looks like they may be ready to at least poke at the high ground. They weave themselves. They've got Aegis on maybe's Invoker, and they start poking and prodding away. No Orchid yet. He did go for the full staff and doesn't seem to bother LGD too much if they can just keep chipping away at heroes as well as towers. But Terrorblade backs off, so he says, I'll farm a bit longer, farm a bit more. Doesn't get that ancient stack, but ultimately he's in a fantastic place. Almost 2.5k net worth ahead of the Juggernaut, and doubling up the win range as far as farm goes.
Slaughter at the very least does have his Blink Dagger now, so might be able to make some kind of play. Probably, I guess you wait for the Aegis to fade. You're ideally keeping track of when that's going to happen, and then you try and go and make a play as soon as that happens. Yep. Seems like a decent timing.
Oh, cutie, that's a aggressive movement. They're going to hookshot in on him. The cogs push back. Can they get the silence? No, his Blade Fury was on cooldown. He goes for the Omni Slash, and that will allow him to get the Blade Fury off. Can they right-click him down? Great snowball. Dragon Slave Lina from the sides does a huge amount of damage. Sunder gets the Sunder off, though. He turns it around, helps bring down the Tusk, and with that Sunder, suddenly what looked like a great initiation and team fight for IG has been turned around. Maybe we'll get shackled up. Still has the Aegis in hand, and IG go on full retreat. Almost enough damage to bring down Silage, it's not quite.
Oh, the chain nukes were actually so good. Jumped in with the crush, got the power shot over everybody, Lina.
LGD initially just kind of melted to the AoE, but it wasn't enough, and now we've got a Terrorblade on the high ground, you've got Alacrity on him, and buildings melt to this. Pops the Manta
If the game was just a little bit more even, you know, the Terrorblade might not have his ultimate orb, might not have the Manta style complete, might have died there, but yeah, just, they won the early game so
Sylar needs to be careful. He makes it go down here. There's the crush, and Sylar, 4-star back to safety, gets one last reflection off before he goes down. Now it's maybe on the high ground. Dies once, could die a second time. LGD possibly overextending a little bit here, but here comes ROTK, this team savior, just charges in, Blade Mail in hand. Looking to keep maybe alive at any cost. Another 4-star back to safety. The Orca comes out onto the Tusk. Now it looks like maybe wants to turn and fight, bring down said Tusk. No Omni Slash available for the time being, which means the retreat should be successful. And that was with a buyback coming out from Tusk himself. So a dieback of all things. Nightstalker goes charging forward. Won't get the Lina with the Tornado, so we'll see IG at least get a few more heroes back to safety. QD, uh-oh, Battle Fury in hand, being orchided up, but again, a near miss on a kill. Rocket Flare, woo, 50 HP. But you don't get any kills, you get a melee Rex. I think they're much happy with that.
It was so unfortunate for iG.V, but that was actually a last-second Aegis respawn. Like,
oh, he died right.
The second that he died, the little pop-up happened on the side to tell you that the when the next Roshan respawn was, which is when the Aegis gets reclaimed. So if they just let him live for 1 more second, they would have actually taken the Invoker out of the fight. It's just one of those things.
Terrorblade Dragonlance. That is something I've not theory crafted or thought about, but obviously only applies during your Metamorphosis, but it's... I mean, the actual stats for the item is fine. Like, damage doesn't matter so much. Attack speed, mostly the strength is nice, and it can build into BKB Butterfly. You can disassemble it later to get those 2 items, which is probably more what he's thinking about. He'll have it for maybe like his next Metamorph, and then just disassemble it later on. We'll see. Maybe he wants to hold on to it. It could be an item he thinks is going to do a lot for him. Hookshot on the backlines here. ROTK's gone in deep. He's found Baboka, and the backlines, it was Lina going down. ROTK, 4 staff away. Okay, no, he's not going to need it. He's just going to straight up survive. Power shot. Whew. Skins his teeth and will be kept alive with the help of maybe zone charges.
Dragonlance is such a weird item to discuss because it's always kind of like, you know, it can't really complain about it.
It's kind of like a carry item, but it's such a small item. It's like getting drums, I feel like. But getting it at getting like a 23-minute drums, it's like, it's getting 23-minute drums, okay, what an Orchid! Invoker gets him on the blink in, doesn't get a chance to use a crush, maybe was ready for it. And by the way, speaking of Dragonlance, maybe has one too. Dragonlance Dota.
It's definitely a good high ground sieging item.
Yes, absolutely. And it's nice, I guess, for the players to kind of just get a feel for the item, since it is a new item, to see kind of what it's going to do. QD coming in from the side. Hero Lagoon at the backlines. That's Lina going down. Meanwhile, QD's been locked in place. Right clicks is going to be enough. He won't even get a chance to Omni Slash. He'll buy back, and this is it. This is one last hurrah. TP in Omni Slash does nil to LGD, and that's going to be a second death on a QD. Wrong also with a dieback. Oh no, he just respawned fast. That's a Lina. And that's going to be it. That's going to be a 2-0. LGD not really tested here by the Vitality squad of Invictus Gaming, but I mean, hats off to IG. They did make their way through the qualifiers, getting second in their group and doing well in the wildcard tournament, but some true opposition here in LGD, and they will get another chance to show themselves in the lower bracket, where I believe they will verse the Newbee.Y team.
Alright, so yeah, still a chance. I mean, they were definitely the heavy underdogs coming into this series anyway, so put up an alright fight. I guess the one thing I want to talk about again is that this is another game where they kind of spent the entire early game for one of their supports trying to win mid lane, and it just didn't really matter. So I don't know if that speaks to a difference between the level of the mids on both sides, but they didn't keep maybe out in either game.
They didn't seem to find the right balance between helping out mid with getting other objectives done, like securing other lanes and stacking neutrals, for example. It was just entirely shut down mid, nothing else to it. And like you say, they didn't even achieve that necessarily.
Well, the more that we see the Tusk pulls, the more likely it is to get nerfed, so
yes,
I'm happy to see that at the very least.
No, I don't know how much longer that'll be in the game. We'll see. Maybe it's an intended mechanic. Who knows? Who are we to judge? Let IceFrog do his thing, but definitely seems to be an odd interaction that's come into play. But that does it. LGD 2-0. Our next series is, I think, eHome and Newbee.Y, if I'm correct. Let me just have a quick check on that one. But I believe that's our third match, and then the final match, eHome versus CDEC Youth, and then Fanchuan versus CDEC will be the fourth best of 3. So 2 more series, guys. And that does it for this one. So thanks for joining me, Basskip. I'll see you for more games tomorrow. It's been a lot of fun as always.
For sure. I'll catch you then.
Alright, well guys, we're going to take a break. It'll be a bit of a downtime before the next best of 3. I'm not sure if it's going to start on schedule or if it'll be a bit early. It is a LAN event, so I'm sure they want all the games to end as promptly as possible here. So they can have day 2 happen on at least with a little bit more sleep. Anyways, guys, stay tuned. You're watching Dota 2 on Beyond the Summit. We'll be back.